Okay, I think we're good to go, guys. Right, so welcome everyone. This is the first of many videos to come discussing the patch changes for characters in the latest balance patch in Mortal Kombat 11 that dropped just a couple of days ago. I'm going to be going through the characters two at a time to discuss what's changed about them, things that don't work anymore, things that do now. First things first, I have to get them on tournament variations because that's really what we're talking about here. So already off to a great start. I'm going to do the ones that have been the most changed and discuss the ones that haven't been so much. But yeah, we're going to be starting off with that. So we're doing Kano and Frost first, but before we talk about anything character specific, there is one change that I want to talk about that will affect near enough every character that we show off. And that is in the general fixes, it says adjustment to victim regions during many hit reactions. This pretty much means, and also adjustment to crouching victim regions for all characters except Baraka, Cabal, Collector, Kotal Kahn, Liu Kang. There have been a number of changes for kind of like consistency across the cast. A lot of characters have had like their down 1 or down 3, sometimes both, adjusted slightly by like a frame or two, be it more hit advantage, be it more recovery on block, just to make the low pokes a bit more consistent across the cast, it seems. But the big one here is the adjustment to victim regions during many hit reactions. What that means is during certain forms of hit stun, the way someone will be hit has been adjusted. And to start things off straight away, I will show you an example that Kano has with that. Before, Kano would just, if he hit a down 1, right, you see this hit reaction of Frost kind of like hunching over. He would get a just frame standing 2. I've set her to crouch, so she's going to crouch the earliest she can. He'd get a just frame standing 2 before she could crouch, right? But that's a just frame. You have to do it literally on the frame, otherwise it won't work and you die for it. Didn't really let you hit confirm, you didn't have the time. Now his down 1 jails into standing 1. And this is pretty much a change consistent across the whole cast. Pretty much, as far as I'm aware, everyone in the game can now hit a down 1 and get a standing button off it. Be it standing 2, standing 1. Kano could not do this before, and it's not listed in his changes because this isn't a Kano specific buff. This is a change across the whole game that has benefited him as well as it has many others. So now Kano can do down 1 into 1-1. If you time, obviously you still have to time it properly. If you do it too late like this, it's gonna whiff. But if you do it right, you get that, which means you can turn it into 1-1-2. If you know it's going to hit, you can do 1-1 Kano Ball, 1-1 on block into Command Grab if you're in Ripper. Like, more options, right? That's the whole point. You hit a poke, you get more offense. That's basically the gist of it. So let's talk about character-specific stuff. Kano, to start things off, has had a ton of dirtbag buffs. Ripper has been pretty much unchanged with the exception of down 3. Startup is now 9, not 10. And recovers better on block. So his down 3 has been slightly improved. But that's not really the bulk of what Kano has had. So Dirtbag has had an absolute ton of changes. Black Dragon Ball, when powered up by Vegemite, starts up in 10 frames, not 12. Has 1 more active frame. And has 20 more frames of block stun and 1 more frame of recovery. So, generally speaking, what that means is Vegemite, which is this buff that makes his Kano Ball armored, has had the ball buffed, pretty much. As well as the powered up ball from Vegemite when you do the up version, which is just do the ball and then hold up with the buff on, you do the up ball. Does 20 more damage and the input has more leniency. So this means you can do it during the ball, like here. I can like start off with the ball and go up straight away, or I can wait during it and then press up. But the big thing about that is it does more damage. So if I'm looking at like, if I'm making her stand up, if I'm doing like a combo, let's say, I don't know, 1-1 ball. 1-1 straight ball with the buff is 156. 1-1 up ball with the buff is 174. Worth noting that the up ball can still be amplified, so this gives you more damage across the board. So you get a decent damage punish off of your standing 1, which is nice. You can also do the buff and then special cancel the ball. This has always been possible, but now the ball does more damage. This has more of a hit confirm potential to it. The timing on doing the ball is a little bit iffy at times, but it just takes a little bit of practice. So more damage on the ball, generally speaking, which is really nice. Molotov Cocktail has 2 frames faster startup and 5 frames less recovery. Doesn't sound like much, but together that is 7 frames knocked off what was a very, very, very slow move. This means that now for Kano, it's more reasonable to go for Molotovs a lot of the time. Where, for example, before, there was very few instances where you could even get a Molotov on the screen guaranteed in any fashion, whereas now you're going to be minus throwing a Molotov, but you're not going to die for it every time. The most notable example is before the patch, if Kano did forward 2 into close Molotov, he would not recover in time. Like, if I play as Frost and record this, I'm not going to block with Kano to show that this would be the case. Like, he would do this, Molotov, and then you'd get stand up and punish him for it, and he would die. No matter what happened, you could always do that. Whereas now, if Kano does this specifically, forward 2 into close Molotov, I'm going to make him block. You can't do it anymore. He recovers in time and you can block. So whilst you're still minus as hell, and under no circumstances should be pressing buttons, you're not going to die for going for Molotov in as many instances. You will still die for it in the neutral if you're doing it, you know, from close range to mid range, but you will have more options to go for the Molotov now by itself. Worth noting, it's still not safe completely. Frost's far-reaching up 3 will still reach him, but obviously her up 3 is particularly fast, so, you know, that's not something that every character in the game will be able to do, I'm sure. And then a lot of chemical burn changes, and this really is the bulk of the Kano buffs in this patch. So chemical burn, damage increased by 20, startup is now 12 frames from 14, recovers 1 frame faster, hit stun increased by 13 frames, block stun increased by 5 frames, and the hit region has been adjusted. The short of this is chemical burn is much better now. Beforehand, you would only get chemical from standing 1 into it or 2-4 into it. Now you can do 1-1 chemical. You can do 2-2 chemical. You can't do 2-2 chemical. You can do standing 2. Okay, you can't do that at all. I'm wrong. But 2-2 chemical works in combos later that I will show. The main one is 1-1 chemical and forward 1-2 chemical. This right here is the one. This is what you... this is what I really was hoping dirtbag could do the whole time. Because you get this string... and now all of a sudden, you can chemical off of it. And now you're at this distance and they're taking damage. Worth noting that it doing an additional 2% damage pretty much means that before, the impact was 4 and it would tick for 5. Now it does 6 and still ticks for 5. So this is an 11% special move. That is huge. Because remember, the straight ball is 10% damage. Which means that if you hit this ever, it's not going to look like it because a lot of it is damage over time. If you hit this, that's an 11% special. So if you combo into it, which you can do now beforehand, you would have to pretty much do like a... all you'd get is this pretty much. You'd do like a back 2 into a forward 1 late, and you'd get that beforehand. Now you can do way more combos with it. In the corner, you get a lot more. But the thing is, you say combos, it's dirtbag, right? So he still only launches with back 2. Or a jump kick. But the important thing is you get that, right? That wouldn't have worked before. If you get any opportunity to launch your opponent, chances are you're going to be able to end it in the chemical now, which is a huge change for Kano, generally speaking. Chemical burn amp damage increased by 20, so the amplified chemical burn, even by itself, does more now. So it goes from, you know, the 10% it did before to now 12. Startup reduced by 8 frames, recovery reduced by 7. Kano, the block stun increased by 10 frames. Pushback increased and the hit region adjusted. So the amp chemical burn, again, just generally all around much better. But this is the big one. Chemical burn amplified can now be done as a close version, which causes a Molotov cocktail to appear on the screen. The short of that is this. If you do the chemical burn, hold away and press amp, this happens. Ooh, the possibilities with this are quite gnarly. For those of you watching that don't know why this is such a big deal, the whole point of dirtbag is the synergy between the Molotov cocktail and the acid. If you get Molotov cocktail on the screen and then you cover them in acid, and while the acid on them, they walk into an already existing fire, they take unblockable damage. And the reason that's so important is because she's going to block as fast as the game will let her. This is now a possibility. So acid, fire, she can't block. That's an unblockable opening on the ground. That's a stun on the ground that she can't do anything about. The problem with this is before, having the Molotov on the screen and acid on them, like if I throw a Molotov far and then get acid, this was so rare, it was just hard to ever do anything with, right? It would happen if the opponent didn't really know the matchup and they didn't know what they were looking at. But now it's just... it's so much more practical because this is acid straight into this. So if you end a combo, there you go. You now have it, which means you can throw them on it. And then that's damage. That, I mean, you can't get a combo from that, but it's, you know, it's a threat, right? The threat of having it on the screen. You get a jump kick. Deep jump kick anyway. You dash forward. Forward one. Acid. Oh, you have to be really close. There you go. There you go. And then if you can, like, knock them onto it. Again, I'm just pushing them. This isn't realistic situations. But the point is you can get the Molotov and the acid out at the same time. That is massive. Chemical burn amplified can now be done as close. Yep, we've seen that. And then, yeah, there's a bug fix with Fatal Blow. Switching the side when it shouldn't have done, which is a bug fix that wasn't happening every time. And the down 3. Now, a Kano scenario that was not possible beforehand, that is now, is dirtbag in the corner now is so much scarier. And I'll show you why. The reason this is such a big deal is if you get a grounded back 2, remember, this is combining all the changes. So, chemical burn, recovery is better. The amplified version can now do a close one. The chemical burn hits further, which lets this happen. Watch this. Dropped combo, great. See that? So that corner combo is ticking for a lot of damage for sure by itself. But let's add an extra layer to this. Uh-oh! Now, your opponent, obviously, they can delay wake up. But if they delay wake up, they will stand up into it. They can wake up attack to hit you. Like, for example, if I set her to delay get up. Let's say a delay get up because she thinks it's going to come. Okay, it missed. Great. You have to do it quite late. It's a new combo, so forgive me for not having the muscle memory straight away. But if she delays wake up, guaranteed. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. So this specific setup, right, where you do combo into it. If this explosion hits, you don't launch from this one. That is the only difference here, is this specific one, the opponent can block. But it does guarantee the burn, like the explosives, and or the burn, I should just say, which is, again, remember, if I do acid and then this, the hit advantage, if it shows me, will it show me? Okay, no, it won't. But I'm going to set her to jump so you can at least see how plus you are when this actually hits. So if I do this, what's the easiest way to do this? And then this. Okay. Yeah, you see how plus it is, right? She gets stunned, then she can't move, which means you can set up plus frames. You can go for like a tick normal throw if you want to. The only downside to that is obviously that's the one explosion that you can't combo from, unfortunately. But the fact remains is that it is still a lot of damage, because even if you don't get the damage from it, let me show you that again, right? Let's look at the damage numbers. This is back 2, so this isn't even the optimal launch. This is... Even that by itself is... And it's still... And obviously, while she's in the fire, if she takes all the fire damage, it's 39% just for that. But if she's taking chip damage in there, if you hit her again, if you hit her with a throw, like... Let's see this situation, for example. If I hit this into 2-2, into the down 1, she gets hit, I tick this into a throw, that's a 16% throw, and then the fire still ticks when she gets up, that's now a 50% sequence. If I get this, and she reads the throw. Oh, I did not mean to fling that off screen. That's not great. Let's say she reads the throw, or whatever, I get a jump kick. I mean, she can block it, but if I... Okay, I'm going to wait for the explosion, then do it. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting too excited. So let's say she reads a throw and does one of her own. Okay, I'm going to turn off the block and you know, imitate if she was like, get hit by it, see me walking up, and then like go for a duck or a button or a throw or something like that. Alright, so he gets hit. Let's say I get this, and then, uh-oh, you know, it's the same sort of situation. Which is pretty nice, because you can always end in the acid. I actually wonder if I can loop that. I actually haven't seen this, and I want to see if you can do it, because that'd be really cool. So let's say that hits, and then I hit this. Aha! You had the unblockable again. Now, let's look at this, like, theoretically, right? The reason this can be so scary if someone is truly not gonna know the specifics of when and where to block This might take me a couple of tries. Those of you watching my Twitter would have seen this before. I'll show you right now. A situation that might work here. Let's have a look. Right. So if this hits, and then, yep, see, and then she can't block that one, and then burn. Okay, no, I did. That wasn't optimal, but I'll do it again just to show you. Because the fact remains is, if they don't deal with that initial burn properly, they're in a lot of trouble. Because then this knocks down. Okay, no, too close, too close. My mistake was not doing this against a female hitbox, so I'm doing this on the fly. Okay, so jump kick. My goodness. This will be worth it, I promise. Okay, stand up into the burn. Yep, can't block this. And then stand up into the burn. Okay, if that happened optimal timing, they stand up into the burn. If they wake up, they get hit by it. If they block, they can't. It's unblockable. If they delay wake up, they delay wake up into it. If they don't deal with that first burn the right way, by blocking it, or just doing anything but just defending that one time, that entire sequence will be guaranteed, and they will lose like 60% of their health. So the short of it is dirtbag is quite scary now. You know, you can do down one acid on block. Acid is a lot safer now. It's just generally a much better move, right? Down one acid is -11 from this distance. Like, you can do forward one acid. Back one acid doesn't work, but if they try and chase down the back one, then it will hit them. That's the base of it. You know, Kano, much scarier thanks to dirtbag. But the fact remains is, how good is it, right? Because dirtbag was very bad beforehand, and hopefully now this makes dirtbag even just like have a place competitively, which is all that a variation should be able to do, right? Is have a place in high-level matches. But that's Kano. Let's talk about Frost. Frost is number 2. Now, where are we? Okay, I want to reset to the center. Okay, so Frost has, again, another character with a lot of changes, which is very cool. Let me go down to her patch notes, which I believe are above. Yep, there we go. Okay, so, starting things off. Yeah, the frame data is there. Headbutt, which is back 1, is now 11 frames, not 16. Frost has an 11 frame mid now. Rejoice. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. Down 1. Oh no, before I get to there. Back 1, 2. Now recovers 13 frames faster. So again, to reiterate. Her back 1, 11 frames. Back 1, 2, used to be -20, now -7. This is now a safe mid. You can stick this out to check people. You can hit confirm it on block. You can leave this to -7. You can do this to be -4, but closer. You now have a mind game off of this, off of the 11 frame mid. This is the best thing that could have happened to her, because she had really unreliable mids. She would die if she whiffed them, which still can happen, but you have a higher chance to catch things out with this now. Back 1-2-1 is one nerf to her. Is back 1-2-1. That's now a high. So it used to be mid, but some characters could make it miss at weird times. They've now just completely foregone it and made the last hit a high. So also doesn't push back anywhere near as far. So back 1-2-1 got a lot worse, but back 1-2, I mean, this is all she needed to be, because from this range, like, my down 1 is going to reach. If I do spin, you know, my down 1 is now better as well, which is the next change. Down 1 startup is now 8 frames from 9. Recovery on hit increased by 1. Recovery on block or miss reduced by 2. And the hit stun increased by 5 frames. She now has an 8 frame down 1 that, once again, if I make him not block, does it get into a standing 1? I wonder. I actually haven't tested this. Ooh, yes it does. So she's another character that gets a standing 1 off a down 1. If you're fast enough anyway. It's just probably one of the harder ones I've seen so far. Yeah, it's quite tough. But it does lead me on to my next point, because you saw it happen before. There you go. So it does work, it's just quite tough. What isn't tough is I'm going to set him to jump, so he's going to move the second he can, right? Where are you going? Where are you going? Oh! You now get a free back 1 every time you hit a down 1, which is mad hype. Oh! This is so good. This is so good. It also means that the, obviously, like, the block mind game of, blade spin into down 1 if you think they're going to respect. Because obviously blade spin is still -4. 8 frame down 1. Like, frame data is not on your side. But if they want to go for a high off of this, that would chew it up. And this is now better as well. So all in all, a much better button. BG Biggest, thank you so much for the Twitch Prime sub, man. Welcome to the Takunin, my friend. And let's have a look. What is next? Down 3, recovery on block reduced by 2 frames. So down 3, 2 frames, better on block. Recovery on miss increased by 1 frame. Hit stun increased by 1 frame, and hit region adjusted. This is still a godlike anti-air, so this is still a really, really good button overall. Microburst recovers 2 frames faster and recovers significantly faster if the second attack misses. The reason that's useful is because anyone that's played Frost knows that this is your hit confirm. So if you hit a 1-3, confirm, back 1-2, confirm. This has been the go-to button to get like optimal whiff punishes, because you get from a distance, you get this. You can turn this into a freeze, which you can obviously launch from. But the problem with this move is if it connected from like max range, like this misses. So instead of making this hit further so it doesn't whiff, you now don't die quite as hard on whiff. Like you can still be whiff punished if you fuck up the range, but not quite as easily. So you still have to really watch the range for this. You just don't get punished as hard. I mean, you can still be punished, but your opponent has to be really paying attention as well. There's a change to variation 1 that I will show. Actually, I'll show it now while I'm going through them. Cryogenic Crown's explosion has had its hit region adjusted, which pretty much means that the bombs now don't miss as much. Which is that there's literally one example I can show you of this. I can't show you anything cool with this because I don't play this variation, but I know that beforehand, if you did close Cryogenic Crown in the corner, that would miss. I've heard extensively about how if you did the close bomb in the corner, it would miss them completely and you wouldn't get it. Now you can. Now you can use this at close range to get this corner stuff beforehand. So now this isn't quite as bad, because you can now use it in the corner. I don't know about other applications for this specifically, but I know this is definitely one that people were hoping would be changed. I don't know the new corner combos, unfortunately, so I can't show you them. But they do exist. They do exist some cool stuff that she can do now because of that. But back to the rest, because there are a few changes left to show with her. Glacier Carving recovers 5 frames faster, and shield duration is now 2 seconds from 1.5. So this is now faster and is out for longer. The amplified version is now out for 1 whole more second. So it goes pretty much full screen before it disappears. So if they have a project, you can walk with this and go in with it. So that's a lot better as well, which is nice. And fix an issue that allowed her down 2 to be cancelled into Fatal Blow on the first active frame, which is something I never saw or even knew was possible, but hey, bug fix. There's one more thing I want to show you with Frost, which again isn't listed in her patch notes, but it's something that is possible now that wasn't before. Frost in the corner has always been able to launch with this. The problem is, she would only really launch off of this, which would, still give her decent damage. But it was the only way you could launch, which was not terrible. But outside of that, you'd have to commit to this, which this is -5 by itself. This is obviously a 16 frame low, so it's not the fastest in the world. And it obviously requires you to be point blank. If they roll and wake up, you die. They can outspeed you with a lot of buttons. But if you would hit this, particularly, you would get this as a launcher. Now, thanks to the universal hit regions being adjusted of some forms of hit stun, you can now launch off of back 2 too, and this is very nice, because not only do you now get to that's not a thing I should be doing, I'm muscle memorying into the wrong button. Not only do you get to launch with this from a range, you get to... Can I do this? I wonder if I can do this. I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to show something potentially. That doesn't work. I'm just going to do something that I know works. I'm just going to do the standing one I shoot before. There you go. So now you can do this. And the reason this is such a big deal is because this now means that this is the optimal range that Frost keeps corner pressure in this game, right? She wants to be around here because if you roll or you whiff a button, she wants to be able to threaten with this to get the crushing blow. We have to remember that's there we go. That's a counter hit crushing blow. So if they roll or wake up attack or do something stupid, neutral jump and whiff a button. You get to punish it with this into this if you want, which is really nice. She gets more damage off this now too, thanks to the back one. This is a 5% 11 frame button, which is really good. But this now means that you don't have to rely on whiff punishing into spending bar. Which again, you know, you can do if you want, because it does decent damage. But now, if you want to keep it meterless, you can. You know, if you want to just whiff punish with this. Can she do back one off this? I feel like she can, because it's so fast, but I guess we'll see. Ah, there we go. Down 3 is the one. Oh, just back one into it. Why not? Let's just do down 3 into back one. I know it works. I will do it until it works. You'll see. There we go. Whatever. So 20% corner meterless combos into the same knockdown, into again the same option to sit around at this place. Much better. You know, it means that Frost gets some really nice damage now off of crushing blows. You know, she used to get just under 40 for some of them, and this one as well. If you could get this, so a practical opener for this. She now gets like well over 40% for that. You know, I might be able to squeeze some more in. I'm curious. I'm going to see if I can. I wonder. I really wonder. You have to get like a micro dash for the standing forward, which has always been possible. It's just a little tight. Yeah, I don't know if you can do the back one too, but you can definitely get the back one, which does open to some very, very nice damage. Yeah, I'll try one more time and then that'll be it. Because we've already shown that she can get a lot of damage off of this now, thanks to the back one extensions. Okay, one more time out of stubbornness. See, this is why doing it live is the worst. Almost got it. Actually, I wonder. This is... Yeah, this is 5. So actually, on the fly, should he actually just run in and do back one too? What am I doing? Oh, wait, yeah, I can't do the head. My goodness. You know what? I'm just going to do a super easy peasy one just to see the damage. Can I do... Oh, that's totally going to work. Sorry, guys. My curiosity is getting the better of me here. Oh, that's not going to work. Goodness. It's so fast. It's a good problem to have, though. There you go, whatever. Easy 40% off that one. If anything, we showed that you don't even have to do these versions to break 40% with that crushing blow now, which is important. And I think that's pretty much it for these characters. So the short of it is, for these two characters summarized, Kano Dirtbag, much, much better for multiple reasons. Hopefully it helps them out competitively and the character has a place now. Both characters benefit from the down one change, so you can now jail a down one into standing buttons. Frost especially, turning a down one into the back one. Frost, faster mids, much better. The explosions on the bomb has more applications now, and Frost gets increased corner possibilities now thanks to the hit regions, giving her a launch off of back 2 too. Very nice, very, very good. Two characters that definitely needed changes, and I think this will really help them out. So who's next? Let's have a look at who's next. Let's have a look.